Okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening, colleagues. My name is Brian Morales, and this is the Global Coalition to Address Synthetic Drug Threats, Subworking Group 2.2, April 17th session, 2024 East Group. I have a few administrative announcements to get us started today. First, I'd like to share that we're going to look at the meeting schedule, discuss the website, discuss initiatives and adopting measures, and then finalizing the recommendations. First, I want to start off by thanking you all for your continued partnership and participation in these coalition meetings. The synthetic drug challenges are worsening, as we see in the news, in our intelligence, in our research. Even during these months of the coalition's work, we see the continued emergence of new synthetic drugs and the rapid spread around the world. And we have seen countries, just this past weekend, we saw Sierra Leone declare a national emergency over the synthetic drugs that they're facing in that country. It's one called Kush. And so we do see a lot of these challenges around the world, a lot of countries sort of reaching out. On the plus side, we have had a lot of discussion, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interest generated around the issue of synthetic drugs. Many of us attended the Commission on Narcotic Drugs at the CND in Vienna, where we saw countries make national statements about synthetic drugs, and many countries made national statements referencing the coalition. We had 2 coalition meetings as well, one general information session on the coalition, and then one donor coordination meeting. And we also had side events that were hosted either by governments or by civil society organizations or international organizations. One of those international civil society organizations is GI Talk, the Global Initiative on Transnational Organized Crime. And they had a chart, a map that I thought was quite interesting, which shows in red, this is from 2021 to 2023, in red, the countries where the illicit synthetics market has increased in severity over those 2 years. In orange, where the severity has remained unchanged, and in green, where the market has decreased in severity. So you can see around the world, we're either at the same place or it's getting worse. And the countries where it's getting worse are quite a large swath of the world where synthetic drugs markets are increasing. So this is a significant concern and challenge for all of us. Where we currently are is the 4th part of our 6-part session for the year-long coalition work in this first phase. We are in the phase of action planning and implementation, which we are starting now. And so for the next 4 months, we are going to be focused on looking at these 2 areas. And you might say, well, what does this mean, action planning and implementation? What will we do during these 4 sessions? Based on the guidance of the co-chairs, the monthly meetings in this phase will include a sharing of national experiences. If you are interested, colleague, to present on any topic of relevance to synthetic drugs, an innovation, a project that you have, things that you are doing in your country, please, we encourage you to present, to offer to present following the link in the chat. I'm going to ask our colleague Sarah Finmore if she could please post this hyperlink in the chat so that others can then just click on it and register their interest to present. Another thing that we might be doing over these 4 months is continuing our discussion of global initiatives. And so we look forward to those continued discussions with all of you. Third is engaging other sectors as well. So we can look at presentations from the private sector for this, for Working Group 1. We can look at presentations from civil society in Working Group 3. And in this current Working Group 2, we might do a combination. We might look at epidemiology networks, at other networks that we might want to have observatories share with us what they're doing. Really, I think that the sky's the limit. We can sort of coordinate on those other sectors as well. Academia being another one, for example. And if there is interest, also, we could look at workshops or training opportunities for coalition participants. But if we find that our time is stretched and we don't have enough to fill, we have too much to fill sort of this time, we could also look at doing this training externally for those participants who are interested. And I think of relevance also to this group and the work that we do here, trainings from UNODC, for example, on the ARQ, or even just doing some core kind of epi work and sharing data collection, sharing systems might be something that might be of interest also. Okay, so now operationalizing the coalition, we're talking about recommendations, and we have currently 60 recommendations in total. That's the number that we landed on after the meeting in March, where we started looking at these. Those are going to be finalized today. And for this sub-working group, we have 4 total recommendations to look at, if I recall correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, correct. And so beyond these recommendations, we're then looking at actions. Those are concrete measures that we would like all of you to reflect on and then to share with us what actions you are taking to support the recommendations in sub-working group 2.2. So what is an action? How can we consider this? Well, the first thing you could do is express interest in one of the numerous initiatives that are in the initiatives menu on our website. We currently have over 100, not actually over 100, we have exactly 115 initiatives that are currently on the website. And some of them are very expressly dedicated to sub-working group 2.2, but you might actually find that in other sub-working groups, there are initiatives that could support the recommendations of 2.2 as well. So that's the first thing. The second that you could do is you could provide bilateral or financial support to international organizations or in-kind assistance to international organizations to advance one of many synthetic topic. So you might find that you are able to mentor or support training or invite other countries to yours to look at a model or a system that you've developed. Third, you could adopt a new practice, a policy, a regulation, or law. If you have done so over the past year, please submit that as a deliverable, as an action that you've taken to support the addressing synthetic drugs in your country. Fourth, you might consider engagement and collaboration with the private sector. You might say also with civil society. And fifth, you might host a regional or a global meeting of the coalition on a thematic area of interest. If you're interested in hosting a regional meeting, for example, of countries in your region of focal points through an international organization, please reach out. We can sort of coordinate and explore that opportunity. So where are we going from here?
Brian, can I ask a question?
Yes.
In terms of, can you go back to the last slide? Yep. In terms of expressing interest or hosting a regional or global meeting of the coalition, like how would someone express interest in that or do that? Or in terms of providing in-kind assistance, adopting a new practice, how would that happen? Like, how is that communicated? Or like, what are the pathways of talking about that?
Yes, so at the moment, the communication stream that we have, thank you for the question, is to email us at our email address, syntheticscoalition@state.gov. If it's to express interest in an international organization initiative, in that case, I'm going to show you now on the website where you would identify your international organization point of contact for those initiatives. So I'll show you a screenshot in just a moment. But thank you. That's a good question. I should add that to the slide for tomorrow's session. Okay, so going from actions, where do we go? We're going to go to international initiatives beginning in April. We're going to start now asking for actions from the participating countries. But then from April to August, we will then begin implementation of the international organization initiatives. And we'll be looking by July to document what the achievements have been throughout the year of the coalition. And so we will be putting all of those actions and international organization initiation of efforts in a report that we hope to then disseminate at the UN General Assembly in September. And then beyond that, from October onwards, each international organization will carry forward their respective initiatives into the full implementation phase. And by the end of the second year, which would be September 2025, we hope to have a year two report that now has outcomes. So sort of measured successes where we show that we have made an impact in addressing synthetic drugs through concrete outcomes. So where do we find these initiatives? To Sarah's question, we can find the initiatives here in this web page at the center section. When you click on that, you will see either by sub-working group or one by one, all of the initiatives listed. You can go through the menu, and when you find one of interest, you can click on it, and then you will enter a detailed description. In this case, INCB Precursor Incident Communication System with the description, the background, the accomplishments to date. You can see the project activities that are listed one by one, and then the global level outcomes and national level outcomes. And at the very end, you will be able to see the countries that are participating. If you find your country there and you say, well, but I'm not participating, you could still reach out to the international organization point of contact. Up there, you could see the email address, for example, incb.precursors@un.org. And you could say, I'm interested in participating in my technical capacity in this project. And they will add you to their list and then reach out to you. Now, I need to also have the disclaimer, the caveat that in some cases, more intensive technical support or assistance is necessary in a country, and international organizations may or may not have the resources to be able to support all of the countries that then request the demand. And so the caveat is that they will reach out to us, and we, in coordination with other donors, will see if it's possible to expand the support, the assistance for the international organizations in carrying out that expanded work. So just by expressing interest is no guarantee that there will be resources, but we will try our best and reach out to other donor countries and agencies to see if we can collect the resources necessary to be able to support all of the demand that countries express. Now I want to end before getting to the recommendations on a new feature of the website. We would like to invite you all to engage on the coalition discussion board. Registration emails have been sent to all coalition members through the email addresses provided during the original registration process. But if you have not received an email or misplaced it, you can reach out to us at Synthetic Drugs. Once again, sorry, that's not Synthetic Drugs, it's Synthetics Coalition. I have the wrong email address there, Synthetics Coalition at state.gov. And then we will get back to you with the registration link.
Brian, it's in the chat for the audience, the link you're talking about. Thank you.
Disregard my my erroneous email address, which will not get you anywhere. So
1:15 a.m. over here.
Thank you, Bill, for adding that to the chat. Now, our website, globalcoalition.us. When you have your account created, you will go to the login section at the upper right hand of the screen. And when you do that, you will enter your username and password that you set. And then you will find that at the upper right hand of the screen, you will now have your profile, which you can edit. And you will also have the community icon. When you click the community icon, you will be able to then see your wall or your page. You can edit your photograph if you'd like to add a picture. If you want to add a banner, I added Washington, D.C., you can do that. And you will see the tiles of all of the sub-working groups that you have registered for. You can add more of these if you'd like as well. I'm going to click on 2.2, which is our sub-working group today, on information sharing, interagency collaboration, and policy. And you will see a social media wall like you would in Facebook or LinkedIn. And so you can just directly type into there what you would like to share, a news article, a national experience, a document, an image. Please post there, and you hit the button that says post, and then up it goes. And I want to share one, for example, that I posted a week ago was exactly on what I had mentioned, that the government of Sierra Leone, the president declared a public health emergency over this synthetic drug called Kush. I posted a BBC article. And then at the very bottom, you see that you can then post a comment on what I put. And our friend Donald from Sierra Leone posted that the President Bio of Sierra Leone has declared the national health emergency, and they look forward to working through the global coalition to address this challenge that Sierra Leone is facing. So that's just to sort of indicate the process. You can comment, you can like, you can ask questions. So please start engaging in this community forum as a new communication stream. So that is all that I wanted to share before the recommendations. So now I want to move to the next section of today's meeting. And so as the first, as this item, we want to finalize the recommendations and post them on our website. And I want to first, before getting into them, say that we are adding to the top of the recommendations document and on our website when we post it, this, what we're calling a chapeau, or this sort of preamble that is the following. The recommendations herein are non-binding and for future government consideration where appropriate. They reflect the views of technical experts participating in the global coalition and do not reflect a consensus of governments or a single national position. We added this here because a lot of us participate at the CND and other places where we work on resolutions and sort of national positions. We don't want to give the impression that we are here providing a national position that has to be negotiated at the highest levels of our foreign ministries, let's say. In this case, these are technical views as national government representatives that we are expressing in terms of how we best feel the coalition could have an impact, and offering recommendations. Countries can, or participants of the coalition can choose to adopt one or more, any or none of the recommendations, and they can take actions outside of these as well. But in a sense, these are the recommendations that will then let us then focus on activities, on actions that will then help lead to change and to impact. So with all that preamble, I now want to get to the 4 recommendations for this sub-working group. I am going to skip over the 1.1, 1.2, 2.1 recommendations, which we've already read. And here they are, the 2.2 recommendations, which I will read one by one, slowly for interpretation. And they are: recommendation 17, develop, resource, assess, implement, monitor, and evaluate national drug strategies and synthetic drug action plans through support, upon request, from international and regional organizations and in accordance with national legislation and regulations. Number 18, develop and participate in an international network for legislation on drugs, INLAD, to support the development and review of legislative, administrative, and policy initiatives and assessments by legislative and executive bodies. Number 19, to assess rapidly evolving regional synthetic drug challenges by hosting and or participating in frequent recurring meetings of regional partners, intelligence analysts, and other networks to develop regional responses through dialogue, policy adoption, coordinated actions, data sharing, and program implementation. And finally, to establish protocols and promote the use of existing global platforms for rapid exchange of information related to cross-border threats upon request and in accordance with national legislation and regulations. So those are all of the recommendations I have to share. I want to now turn it over to our co-chairs for today's session, and I'll invite them to invite comments and questions from the group, so they can moderate any questions, any comments, any edits to the recommendations that I proposed. So I'll turn it over to Amber Migas and to Shane Nielsen and to Seru Papeli Neko, if he is on as well. and then we will then sort of take it forward from there. Thank you.